I don't want to do this. I don't want to do a thing that makes you feel pain or hurt. I don't want to, but I know that the way that you'll properly learn this lesson is by feeling those things now. Because I'd rather have you feel those things now and not get what you want now than think you're owed everything when you get older and then something actually happens and there's a real consequence that actually hurts you or takes your life. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Marriage Lab. Man, this is an interesting topic. I like to write down topics and kind of think about what I'm going to say a little bit. I don't like to be scripted, but I do like to have some kind of topic in mind. And it's so funny. I was sitting here, I was thinking, I said a quick prayer before I started, and I was like, I really need something to talk about. And there was a situation where my kid, she keeps knocking on the door. I'm in my garage, right? This is my little setup. And it immediately came to me. As a father, as a dad, we are there to bridge interactions in my mind. That's what I see it as, right? We are there to show the discipline, show the calm, show the logic. And then when there's a situation that maybe one thing doesn't make sense, you add whatever is needed to make that thing make sense. You solidify the things. You are the rock of the family, right? Cliche, I guess, but I was thinking about it after this happened with my daughter, and I'm like, yeah, I have definitely learned a very valuable lesson over the last few years about how I talk to my wife and how I talk to my daughter, just how I talk to people in general. I've grown to be more confident in my speech, more confident in my stance, more confident in my boundaries with certain people and certain things that I want. And I think things like that are definitely needed because you never know what could happen if you aren't there, not just physically, but spiritually, and just laying down the boundaries of certain interactions is just a thing that's highly needed from a man in his family. This is the reason why men are so valuable. God laid out a plan for the family, and he laid it out this way for a reason. It's God, it's man, it's wife, it's kids, and then it's everybody else. There's a reason why that's there. Everything makes sense, right? Let's talk about the calm discipline. In a situation where your kid does something, as a dad, this is something you should always be thinking about. How can I teach my children a lesson in certain moments? I always see things that way. What is the lesson for my kid here? What's the lesson for my kid there? If my kid wants to do a certain thing, why shouldn't we allow her to do this? Why should we allow her to do that? And of course, whenever we have more kids, it's gonna be the same. In my mind, the way that you grow up as a good person, as a good adult, is by learning the lessons early. Find a way to solidify those lessons early. And those lessons are learned by discipline. Now, let's get this out of the way. When I say discipline, I don't necessarily mean taking the belt and spanking your kids, or taking your hand and spanking your kids. That's not what I see as discipline. Even though, of course, that's a part of it if it needs to go that far, I think teaching them certain lessons are better than that. If my kid says that she wants to ride her bike, she's riding her bike and she keeps trying to do these tricks. And you can see that these tricks aren't necessarily safe. And as looking at my wife, or talking about my wife here, when she sees my daughter doing things like that, she's automatically like, stop doing that stuff. You're going to hurt yourself. And in my eyes, I'm like, yeah, she probably could. But she'll never truly learn how to ride the bike if she doesn't, or scooter, whatever, if she doesn't make these little mistakes, if she doesn't fall off the bike, if she doesn't fall off the scooter, if she doesn't, run around and I hate to put it this way, but if she doesn't run around and break something, how can she truly know what the consequences of doing a certain action are if you never allow her to make those mistakes? Let your kids make the mistakes now. Because if you wait and you protect them and you coddle them and you tell them, well, don't do this, and you never give them a reason, you never explain things to them, like things that I used to get as a kid is, don't do this. Why? Because I said so. Like, yes, cool. You're an adult. Congratulations. But they're not. Their mindset and your mindset are not even close to being the same. You're talking to your kid like they understand what you think as an adult because you said so. Okay, cool. But what does that mean? Just because you said so? What if I do this thing, what's the consequence from it? If you don't let them do that, that'll always be in their head. Well, the only consequence is mom or dad will say, just because I said so. Yeah, but that's not good enough. If you can give your kid an actionable, tangible thing behind why this is happening, they're better off as a person in the long run. One thing I will say, my kid decided last night after her mom told her to go clean her room and clean the living room because she had a bunch of stuff in there. You're not doing what your mom asked you to do when she asked you to do it. You're taking your own time to do what your mom told you to do, and that's seen as disrespectful in my house. So I asked my wife, hey, what did you just tell her to do? She tells me, I told her to go clean the living room and clean her room. I look in her room, it's not clean. I look in the living room, it's not clean. So then I ask her, hey, if your mom asked you to clean 20 minutes ago, why is it not clean? Rhetorical question, right? But from that point, there was something that she wanted, and I was like, okay, well, you want this thing. You can't get this thing that you want if you're not going to listen and do what your mom told you to do. You're not being obedient. You're being disobedient. You're being disrespectful, right? So she's upset. She's crying, obviously. And it's like, I understand. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do a thing that makes you feel pain or hurt. I don't want to, but I know that the way that you'll properly learn this lesson is by feeling those things now, because I'd rather have you feel those things now and not get what you want now than think you're owed everything when you get older and then something actually happens and there's a real consequence that actually hurts you or takes your life. I don't want that. So I'd rather teach her the lessons now. Dads, rather teach them the lesson now than have them grow up, do something, and then everybody regrets what could have been later on down the line. So I think that's all I got for this one. Main points here is just allow your kids to mess up. Allow your kids to learn those hard lessons now, because I'd rather them do it now than do it later. And you just never know, right? You just never know. So don't coddle your kids. Teach them lessons so that they can protect themselves when they get older. Yeah. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching. If you think the same or you think differently, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Stay blessed. Peace.